Hello there. In today's video, I will be explaining how I think the end of the Spy Ninjas should have played out. Let's begin. First of all, the PZ leader, not coming back. I already made a video as to why he should have never came back and never will come back. So, the three main villains of the end of the Spy Ninjas would have been PZ9, Melvin, PZ4, Regina, and PZ1, Daniel. But you're probably wondering, why would Daniel ever turn evil? That's not like him. He's a loyal spy ninja. Yeah, but so was Regina, and look what happened to her. Here's why Daniel would turn evil in the end of the Spy Ninjas. So, for this what-if scenario, we're gonna rewound the clock back to when Melvin became the commander of Project Zorgo. I'd say that everything would happen normally with Melvin trying to shut down the tour, and that happened in the normal timeline, up until Regina joins Project Zorgo. This is where I think the timeline would deviate from the regular. So, in the normal timeline, Chad and V don't tell Daniel right away because they think that he would join them too, and they don't want to lose another spy ninja. But in this timeline, let's say that they decide to trust him and decide to tell him. He obviously is gonna want to go confront Regina about this. So let's say he goes to the Project Zorgo warehouse to find her. He does find her and gets to talk to her. She tells him Melvin's plan of trying to find their family and says that if Daniel joins them, they're willing to use the pod to find his mom as well. Daniel would of course be tempted with the prospect of finding his family and the fact that Regina trusts in the plan. So I think for now, he will accept the offer. Chad and V are obviously going to be pretty distraught that all their Spy Ninja friends have gone to the dark side. But they wouldn't want to have to defeat their friends. They would still believe in them. So I think they'd get Ali and Peters and they'd go to the Project Zorgo warehouse and try and talk to them and get them to stand down from their plan. Kind of like Chad does to Regina a couple times. But they're set in stone in their plan to find their family. That's all they want. And with the help of the Project Zorgo army, they don't think it's possible for them to lose. So they're like, nah, if you're not going to help us, we don't want your help, go away. But Chad and V are like, we're not going to give up. So they would probably be like, okay, if we can't save our friends, we'll save them from themselves. Peters is like, alright, I'm done with this. If you guys can get me back to the top of Project Zorgo, I'll shut it down myself. So Chad and V would rally a bunch of Project Zorgo members and be like, guys, PZ9 and PZ4 don't actually care about you. They just want the pod to find their families. Quit Project Zorgo once and for all. And with the more gullible nature of Melvin's Project Zorgo, I think it's more than likely that at least some of these hackers would listen to this warning and decide to call it quits. But this would only make Melvin more angry as he sees Chad and V destroying his army. So he snaps and tries to kill Chad and V for trying to ruin his chances of seeing his family. This would snap Daniel out of his trance and be like, wait, what? Wait, nah, this ain't for me, fam, I'm out. So he quits Project Zorgo and rejoins Chad and V. But Regina still is loyal to her brother. So they are now alone because the Project Zorgo members, they may hate Chad and V, but they're above murder, they don't like murdering people. They still have hearts, at least the modern Project Zorgo members at least. So they all leave Melvin and Regina and go back to Peters. For a bit, it would go back to how the normal storyline goes, where, Melvin and Regina, they're looking for their families, they're in the abandoned town, it's great. But then, Chad and V would realize the pod is what's manipulating Melvin and Regina to want to be evil. It's what made the mask Regina made for Melvin not work, and it's what is feeding his want to find his family, with or without Chad and V. So they're like, we gotta destroy that pod. So, in a attempt to redeem himself for quitting Chad and V, Daniel does what he does in the end of the Spy Ninjas and decides, I gotta get into that pod and shut it down from the inside. Chad and V, like they are in the end of the Spy Ninjas, would be like, no, you can't do that, you're gonna die and we just got you back. And Daniel would be like, that's the point, you just got me back, I left you guys. This is what I need to redeem you, to redeem myself for you guys and for Melvin and Regina. So, the trio would go to the pod room as they do in the end of the Spy Ninjas, and the scene of Daniel saying his goodbyes would happen again, this time with Chad there because he's not sacrificing himself for Daniel. And Daniel's final words to the two before he enters the pod would be, I'm sorry, thanks for everything. And that's it. Of course, there would be a couple open-ended questions from this scenario, like what happened to Melvin and Regina, and is Daniel alive? But I think those would be better left up to interpretation. So, what do you think would happen if this scenario came true? Did you like the video? Subscribe if you did, leave a comment down below, and I will see you later.